Next will be Mr. Kurt Blair, TDC report. And we are moving right along.
Good morning, Commissioners. Welcome, Commissioner Jones. Congratulations. Look forward to working with you. Commissioners, we provided you a lot of stuff for your standing folder of materials that we'd collected over the last couple of months. Is that right, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't have much to add to my report today from what you received, but I will point out a couple of things that should be of interest. Yesterday, we received our final check for collections for the year beginning October 1st, 2015 through September 30th, 2016. We were August collections, which were the last month that had been outstanding, was $81,869, which is an 8% increase over August of last year. But the big number is we topped $1,200,000 in collections last year. This is better than 8%, almost 9% increase over our collections last year. So, you know, we had talked about this off and on over the course of the year as the numbers went up and down, and you know, it finally leveled out at just actually a little bit better than what we were anticipating. I think I had suggested to you at one point it'd be about 8%, and we came in closer to 9%. So that was a real strong showing for that fiscal year, and it's the best year we've had since the BP oil spill period. So the industry is strong and going on. I thought I'd share with you some of the other numbers. I think I told you a couple of months ago that we were going to be wrapping up the year, and I'd have some information that might be interesting to you. We've had over 225,000 hits on our website. This is up about 15% from last year. We've talked about the fact that we're redoing the website, and we'll hopefully get that done in this fiscal year. But that was quite an increase over last year. Also during the fiscal year 2015-16, we had over 24,000 visits to our visitor centers in the county, and this is about almost 5% increase over what we recorded last year. Our marketing database, this is our email database that we market to every month, increased this last year 20%. We're now distributing every month information to over 41,000 visitors or people that have indicated interest in visiting. So this is a prime market for these are our return visitors as well as new visitors that have registered interest in coming to Franklin County. We're getting that distribution out monthly. We funded 29 nonprofit organizations last year for over 150 events that occurred in the county and helped them with promotional activities. And we also distributed 44,000 inserts to Coastline Magazine. We have a special 4-page insert in Coastline Magazine which highlights events that are going to be occurring each month. And we've distributed 44,000 of those to lodging companies throughout the county. So, you know, we're getting that information along with what is on the Forgotten Coast TV. One of the actions our board took at their last meeting, I wanted to bring your attention to, we've had some relatively minor vandalism at the East Point facility, mostly just theft of decorations and things. Our board approved a proposal to put some security cameras on the exterior of the building just to keep handle on the traffic that goes through there, and also we don't have any security cameras inside, so it gives our staff a little more sense of security when they're there alone. So, and that's the majority of my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. Last meeting and a couple meetings throughout this past year, we have been looking at running up the projects with the armory and being through with that. And we've been looking at, I'm gonna bring up something that I've discussed, Kurt, you can follow in if you want to. And as chairman of TDC, I said, well, we need to look at where this extra money at the end of the year that we have with TDC can be spent. And Chairman Parrish, I hope you would agree with me that one of the items that I felt like we need to expand on is additional funding for Lombardi's to be able to pay this loan off quicker than what it is. We're paying $77,000 a year on the initial part of the loan, and I was just thinking that if there's nothing else that we need as far as infrastructure monies or projects that we have, that it would be good to look at Lombardi to try to pay this off a little bit quicker than what we've got it financed at. And I don't know how you feel about it, but that's an issue that I felt like needed to be addressed. So the board has been looking at that also.
Yes, I agree with you, Commissioner Sanders, that we do need to get the TDC out, take that debt off the TDC so they can move that money into more productive areas. I don't know how many years is left or how much is left owed on the building.
Around
About
700,000.
700.
700,000.
Yes.
You know, I've myself, and I've never brought this up to the board, but you know, I thought about using some Restore Act funds to pay that building off, pay that loan off, and thereby relieving that debt from the TDC. That's the only way the county could acquire that, and it is a nice facility. And we have a $500,000 project that will soon begin out there to complete the the Maritime Heritage Display Center. And there'll be a big project going on out there that I think the public is really gonna like when it's finally done and established and get everything operating the way that we envisioned that it was gonna do from the time we bought that place, and completing some of the projects that we've started, and that'll be paid for with some of the NERDA funds. And that should be starting here pretty soon. Last time me and Michael met with them, the plans were 90% complete, the architectural design plans. So that, I'm looking forward to that project probably starting right after the first of the year to try to get some of those things done. But I do agree with you. If it's still $700,000, it would still take a long time to pay it off the way we're going. And I was looking at bringing to the board at some point when we get to the point and discussing this with Dewberry, our consultants, as we envision our multi-year implementation plan, is trying to pay that debt off, and thereby relieving the TDC from the debt that they're under on that particular building. So.
But do you agree that in the meantime, maybe we can access some of the extra TDC funds that they may have at the end of the year to help?
To move that forward.
To move that forward.
Yes, and also, you know, when I say I'm trying to relieve the debt off the TDC, at some point when this new project is done and we open that Maritime Heritage Display, we're gonna need to again go back to the TDC for a grant to pay somebody to keep that place open, you know, so many days a week, so many hours a week, so that the visitors will have access to it, because we're gonna have a lot of different things going on out there, and we're gonna have to have somebody that will open and close the place. I guess that's a sustaining grant I'm referring to, Kurt.
Yeah, that would probably be the,
And getting the debt off of them would then allow them to make a smaller contribution each year for a sustaining grant, to pay someone to be out there and greet the visitors when they come through. There's going to be a number of venues and displays out there where they can go in there. If they want to watch something about oystering, you punch the button, you sit down in front of a flat screen, and you can watch exactly how oystering is done, or shrimping, or a number of our different maritime events that we do around here, floundering. I mean, there's going to be a wide variety of stuff that a visitor to this area that has no knowledge of what our seafood heritage is, that will be able to go in and watch these different industries and how they're conducted, and gain a broader knowledge of our maritime heritage here in Franklin County. So that's kind of why I was looking at trying to relieve the debt from them, so that we could go back and ask them for a sustaining grant to be able to keep the building open, to keep people from tearing it up, from vandalism and everything else. So, Yeah, I would agree with that. The
Okay.
sooner we can pay it off, the better, and get that debt off the TDC so that they can move forward on other projects that they have. And one other thing, Kurt, anybody else, any of the commissioners have anything for Mr. Blair? I'd like to make sure everybody has an opportunity here. As you know, as we move forward with our TDC and we do a lot of marketing and bringing visitors here, and I've talked about this for a long time, is we need to look at doing some smaller infrastructure projects. Whether it's leasing a piece of property for parking. Parking is a major issue here in Franklin County, especially in Apalachicola, and we're trying to look at some things on the island where we can expand that public parking area there in the center of the island so that visitors have places to park. Parking is a major issue here in Franklin County, and as the Bowery down here starts to hopefully develop some, we need some additional parking down there. I mean, we have these events here, the 4th of July fireworks, the oyster cook-off. We have these events here, and they're drawing a lot of people here, but there's no place for these people to park. I mean, that's an infrastructure project that I feel that we need to address. As you bring people here and you advertise to bring people, we have to be able to accommodate these people. So when they go back, they can relate to their neighbors and other people that they come in contact with, that it's a very accommodating community, not just go there, but when you get there, you're being accommodated, you're being taken care of. We have public restrooms here now. I feel strongly that we need additional parking. Whether we just lease a piece of property and make a parking area there, you know, without having to pave it and all, if it's leased property. I mean, but it's just some things I'd like for y'all to look at your board meetings that, you know, we're doing good on our advertising, which we can see our numbers are up, the visitor numbers are up, the collections are up, and that's good. But I want to see these people accommodated and these few little smaller infrastructure projects across the county, I think would help. And I think the numbers would come up even more. The better we can accommodate them and provide for them, the more people I think will come, and more of a year-round, as we've always struggled for. The infrastructure in place across the county is very limited, so it's hard to bring everybody in at one time, but the more round, year-round tourism, I think is excellent. We can handle so many, and we can handle so many year-round, but that's about all the infrastructure as the way our little towns and all are laid out that they're going to be able to handle. So year-round is more advantageous to me than trying to bring everybody in at one time. And so I'd like for y'all to look at that in the future. As your collections come up and your revenues come up a little bit, I'm not saying stop advertising, I'm saying that we do need to look at some of these infrastructure, little smaller infrastructure projects.
Well, Commissioner, I'll certainly take that to our board and discuss it with them. I will mention that, you know, we do have a budgeted item this year for y'all, somewhere in the vicinity of about $160,000 that, depending upon how we finish off the armory and whether there's any last-minute things, there will be some money for these types of small infrastructure projects. And I tried to make sure that was in there this year because you and I talked a little bit about the parking and some of the other things. So we'll discuss it with the board. I'll get up with you, you know, and we'll see if we can identify something that works for you.
Thank you. Anybody, any of the commissioners have anything for Mr. Blair? You have anything else to add, Mr. Blair?
That's all I've got.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Very informative report. Next will be Ms. Debbie Belcher.
I don't see Devin, so I figure she's going to be here hopefully by 10.
Board will take a 5-minute recess.
Yeah, it was a bear. Yeah. Yes. I was thinking maybe along different lines. Yes, it was very rough.
Board of County Commissioners are back in session. Next on the agenda item, I think Ms. Debbie is here now.
Good morning. You have my report for the CDBG grant, and you also have a draft of a bid package. Unfortunately, yesterday I was told that what is in the bid package that you have now is not what I have shown the homeowners. They told me that what I had shown them was available in Wind Zone 3, Energy Star, and Exposure D. Then they said it wasn't, but the other one was. So then I find out yesterday that what is in that draft is also not available for Exposure D. So this is getting very frustrating for me as well as the homeowners, I'm sure. But we will have some mobile homes to bid as soon as I can get those models nailed down. What we're doing is I'm limiting it to single wides because I know you're very conscious of costs. So that is the issue, is getting single wides that are Energy Star certified, Wind Zone 3, and some of them have to be in the Exposure D category. So anyway, we're moving along, forwards and backwards, hopefully forwards again, on the mobile home replacement bid package. The first rehab is done, and I need to ask your permission to include Sally Moses and Vicki and Ronnie Segree in the replacement bid package. They are eligible for the replacement.
You need to have that done by motion?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
Okay. Then all the policies that were adopted by the board were turned into DEO. Have not heard anything from them regarding whether they like them or don't, but they were submitted right after they were adopted. We had a monitoring by DEO October 20th. They had no findings or concern. The actual response letter has not come to the county yet, but they had no issues with that, so we're in good shape.
Any commissioners have anything for Ms. Debbie this morning? One comment. When we are through and executed all this work, will we be eligible to reapply? And my point being is some of the expertise you're now gathering as far as manufacturers of specific homes that we need in this area. If we're able to reapply, then you'll be better prepared the next round, so to speak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is that a possibility?
Yes, sir. When we should finish this up within our 2 years. I mean, in less than the 2 years that we were allotted. The next cycle, we don't know when that will be. There's one coming up that is just announced, which of course we won't be eligible for. But the next one after that, we should be. And so we can reapply. One exception to the not being eligible to apply now that I do need to make you aware of, and I've mentioned this in the past, is there are 4 categories in the Florida Small Cities CDBG program. Housing is the category that we're in now. Neighborhood revitalization is the category we had before for things like road paving and water and sewer extensions and stormwater drainage. There's a third category called commercial revitalization, which I did with the city of Apalachicola, some of the downtown work that you've seen. The fourth category is economic development, and we've discussed this, how that in addition to one of the 3 other categories, you can also apply in the economic development category at any time as long as there's funds remaining. The first 3 categories, they have an opening cycle and an end, and they allocate all the money in those categories. Economic development, last year, they had no applications. It's not a real workable program in some cases, but that is a category that is open, and that you can apply for that even if you have an existing grant in one of the other 3 categories. And that is for a job-producing project, and the majority of the jobs have to be for low to moderate income people. And in some cases, it can be for job retention. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that and that you're not thinking that I'm telling you that you cannot apply for that.
As you've heard us discuss this morning with I don't know if you heard us or not, but anyway, we got 3 different studies going on right now for Franklin County in economic development, job creation, and as we move forward in trying to close out the current grant that we're under, and I understand that we can also apply for this economic development package in addition to the grant we now have. But this is something that we need to keep in our mind as board members as we try to move forward. We're talking about generation of jobs and economic development, that, you know, that could be a grant that we may need to apply for in the future when we come up with something to create jobs here for some of these people that
Yep.
our oyster industry is struggling so bad, our seafood industry. So I appreciate that information, and when you hear us talking about job creation, you know, you may want to remind us that this is a category that we might could apply for some additional funds.
Yes, sir.
And very informative. Any of the commissioners have anything for Ms. Debbie?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I want to, you said on the economic development, you said it's a hard thing to apply for?
In some cases, the reason I say that is because they have to wait for things to happen. When you get one of these kind of grants, you have to wait for the contract, you have to wait for environmental approvals, and then also they have to promise that of all the jobs, 51% at a minimum are for low to moderate income people. And so then they continue to track the job creation, even spin-off jobs related to it that might tie, let's say, for example, if you run a water line, and then they want to see, well, who else ties into that water line? I mean, it can be cumbersome. But they track jobs so that if you have like, 1 to 35,000 is the threshold. You have to have at least one job for $35,000. But then they will track it to one job per 10,000 if, or for a certain period of time after closeout, and then you're not required to have more than you promise, but it's just a cumbersome kind of thing, and sometimes the businesses don't want to make the commitments that are required. And the money it's basically for 2 things. One is infrastructure. You can do industrial park development, things like that, but you have to have a specific business. And then you have, if it's like an industrial building, you have to prorate the rent and send it back to the state. I mean, they make it very cumbersome. If it's a water line or something like public infrastructure where there's no direct payment received, no program income, it's a little simpler in that case. But you've got these businesses having to make promises to get public infrastructure. So they're like, well, why shouldn't I get public infrastructure without making these promises? So those are some of the situations that arise. The money can, in some cases, be used as a loan. But then the thing to be aware is that the county is responsible for the repayment of the loan to the state. So if the business goes bust, then that could be a problem. So I want to make you aware of the pros and the cons anytime you talk about something like
Which
this.
is probably why nobody applied the year you were talking about it.
Right. That's what I'm
so-
saying. I have almost never heard of situations with my particular clients that where this fits very well. I mean, it can occasionally work. I've used, like a long time ago, we used it to match up with some EDA funds. CDBG is an exception to the rule. In most cases, you can't match federal money with federal money, but CDBG, there is an exception for that money to be used as matched to other federal funds. So sometimes it works.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Do you know if there's a time frame on the time they follow? Is it a year, 2 years, 20 years?
I have to look at the rule again because they've had some rule changes, but it wouldn't be more than a couple of years after closeout, or until you hit the 10,000, whichever comes first. And you're not required to have one job per 10,000. It's just that they like to monitor it so they can brag to HUD, I guess.
So you're saying these are all federal funds through the state?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so,
And so we sort of get the worst of both worlds. We get the federal regulations and the state regulations. So-
right. Okay, any further comments from Ms. Debbie? Thank you, Ms. Debbie.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next on the agenda will be Ms. Stella Wilson, Dewberry.
And Stella could not make it due to the severe weather, so she asked me to fill in for her. My name is Rick Harder. I'm on the Dewberry team. I'm with Ecology and Environment. We're going to do really two main things today, quickly. I want to present to you the revised needs assessment, and then after that, we've got Amy Newbern from the UWF Haas Center who's going to present on the market analysis that they conducted. So I believe you should all have in front of you a timeline that looks like this. We're nearing the end of that step one, the needs assessment. The next step after that, we'll use that needs assessment to develop some selection criteria, as well as other factors that will feed into the selection criteria. Then will be project submission, where project ideas can be submitted and considered. Those projects will be ranked in step 4, and then ultimately, after approval, they'll go into the multi-year implementation plan. But if we could look at the needs assessment, that's also in what you've got. It starts off with a kind of a one-page or half-page introductory, couple of paragraphs there. The real meat of it is in the next 3 pages, or 2.5 pages. Those are the needs that were gleaned from nearly 100 different sources, including meeting minutes, newspaper articles, management plans, and so forth. They're grouped into 5 categories, which are essentially the various eligible activities that can be funded under Restore. They've been kind of grouped together into these 5 categories here. But these specifically are the needs that have been identified. This is intended to be kind of broad and all-inclusive. This list was developed using feedback during the RAC meeting, the Restore Advisory Committee meeting. As a result of that feedback, we added about 38 additional references that we reviewed and added a number of additional needs to this list here. So I'm happy to take any questions you have.